when I grow up, I'm going to be a star. I'm going to star at the Palladium. And they'd say, but you can't dance, sing, play a musical instrument. You have no talent whatsoever. We did become a star, and he did do it at the Palladium. And he still can't dance, sing, and play a piano. What is the secret of the boy? Larry Grayson. It's always a pleasure to see you.
And to see you, Terry. It's a joy for me because I'm not stuck up in a box up there somewhere with 5 other people. We never get to talk like this, do we? When I do blankety blank with you, I'm up there with Beryl Reid or somebody, and tonight I can talk to you. What a joy it is.
Normally I have to share you with others.
Yes.
And of course I don't like doing that.
No, I did the truth. You're looking ever so well. You look,
Thank you.
I've been watching
return the compliment.
Pardon?
Is it the Torquay air?
I think it must be, yes. I've moved to glorious Devon. And I love it. I call it the Arthur Marshall country.
But Torquay, where you live now, it's rather hilly.
Yes.
How do you and Arthur negotiate the hills?
Well, you see, I have a tandem. And why do you always bring such a common audience?
Not with me.
Are they with you?
No.
Oh. Well, anyway, I've got this friend, and we go out on this tandem. He says, so I manage the hills like that.
Well, what about Arthur?
Arthur?
The dog.
My little dog?
Yeah.
I have a basket at the front, like, in The Wizard of Oz, Miss Gulch. And he sits in the front, and we ride about. I mean, nobody knows me because I wear a fur hat. They think I'm Coral Brown.
You love all those Coral Browns and...
Oh, yes, I love... Did you see that marvellous thing she did? What was it called? An Englishman Abroad. It was a marvellous thing on television. BBC did it so well with Alan Bates. And I wear a fur hat the same, and I went out the next morning shopping in Wellswood. That's where I go shopping. All the best people go to Wellswood. And an old lady, she very bad eyesight, and she said, oh, look, there's Coral Brown.
But in fact, in your early days, well, luckily you weren't taken for Vincent Price.
You were.
In your early days, you used to impersonate film stars, didn't you?
Oh, yes, that was when I was at school. I used to impersonate Katharine Hepburn and people like that, Betty Davis. I did it all the time. And I used to get the cane more often than not for doing this. I was interested in anything at school, but all I wanted to do was 4:30 to come around so I could get out and get off to the pictures, which I loved.
Do you still do the female stars?
Oh, yes, of course. But you see, I love the other channel. Don't mention it, but the other channel that shows all the old movies.
Well, BBC Two?
No, the other one. And I love it. Because they have all the old films on, Smiling Through and The House of Rothschild, George Arliss and things like that, which I love. Don't keep laughing at me, Terry. I'm serious.
It's just wonderful names, George Arliss.
Mr. George Arliss, if you don't mind. He was always billed as Mr. George Arliss. And all those marvellous films. I remember them all very well. Do you know, Terry, I could go into a cinema when I was a kid, and, they open the door and they tell you ticket, and I could look at the screen and tell you who made the picture. Whether it was Warner Brothers, Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, 20th Century Fox, Paramount, Monogram, GB, Government British, I could tell you.
How?
But just the film. It's funny, and I could tell also with the music. I could tell Max Steiner's music from Warner Brothers Pictures and Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer. I could tell right away.
Was it the female stars that particularly appealed to you?
Of course it was, yes. I mean, look at the Joan Crawford coat I'm wearing now. She always had shoulders like this, Joan Crawford. Don't stare.
When you were in America last, you were confused with Myrna Loy.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's a lovely story, because Jack Klugman, who's a great mate of mine, Quincy, all those lovely things he does, and he was coming to take me out to his place at Malibu. So I was in the hotel, and the door knocked my door, and I went to the door, and this bellboy stood there, you see, with this basket of fruit and the ribbons and everything, and I said, do come in. Come in. I was in one of my moods.
Oh, of course.
Well, he came in, and I put it down there, and I said, don't go, wait a minute. I was acting, So I took the...
That sounds very like you.
Does it really? You know me so well. And I got the card, you see, and I said to this boy, isn't this wonderful? All this, and my picture hasn't been released yet. And he went... And I looked at him, I said, you don't know me, do you? He said, no, sir. I said, my name's Myrna Loy. And he just looked. I said, you may go now. And of course, when I told Jack Klugman about this, he was in fits, and I have a picture in my home, and it says on it, to Larry, all my love, always. To me, you'll always be Myrna Loy.
That's the nicest thing he could have said to you.
Well, of course he could. Of course. I went with him to tape the Vidal Sassoon show over there, and he's coming over very soon. I'm going to his birthday party. Have you been invited?
No, I'm asked nowhere.
Pardon? Have you been invited to Vidal's party?
Vid?
Well, the BBC are doing it. It's been televised. Are you going?
No.
Fancy. Well, you're everywhere else, aren't you?
Would you like to have been a Hollywood star? I mean, apart from being Myrna Loy, would you like to have been a Hollywood film star?
In the old days, Teddy, yes, of course I would. I don't know. I suppose the films are very good today, but because they're not like they used to be. But they are to other people growing up and everything, you know. But to me, I love the old movies. You see, I can't bear all this getting into bed with everybody. And,
but you don't have to get into bed with everybody.
No, but it frightens my dog. I mean, when you see, when you're on the television, it starts, you see, and they're always in bed together, you know, and it's awful. And I don't, I'm a bit, I'm very broad-minded.
You're
not. Yes, I am, but I don't like things like that.
Well,
perhaps it's because I'm getting older.
Oh, nonsense.
I mean, the doctor...
No.
Listen, the doctor said to me...
Well, perhaps you're right.
No, listen, the doctor said to me, he said, Larry, he said, Laz, he calls me Laz. He said, Laz, he said, when you're... Listen. He said, when you're 39, you'll find that you'll change. And I have. And that's interesting. And of course, you see, now I notice, I mean, I hate to mention my age to anyone. It's a secret, you see, like Mary Astor. And I find that I get this throbbing in the morning. And my ankle swells, you know, and I get you see, but I won't give in. Because I don't feel my age, you know. I know you do, because I hear you in the morning on the radio, and sometimes I feel for you.
Well, I'm not there.
You are there, really.
Look, what has this got to do with your dog throwing up whenever there is sex on the television?
I don't know. I can't think what made me say that. You see, I wander a little bit now. Have you noticed? I do wander a little bit.
You're very young to be wandering, because you're just 39, aren't you? I mean...
That's the nicest thing you've said to me, Tony. That's why I always come on your shows, you see, because you say the nicest things. You have such a lovely smile as well, I was told to say. I'm sorry you're leaving blankety blank and all that. I'm ever so sorry about it, you know.
Well, I think I've probably peaked now, Larry.
You are?
It's downhill now.
Oh, no, not you.
Oh, yes.
Oh, no,
Oh, yes.
No, you'll go until you're 90, I think, but I don't know. Did I tell you that lovely story about the other week? One of my landladies said the other week, she said about going to the moon and all carries on, and she said, I can't understand it. She said, we're living now, she said, in the 20th Century Fox. She said... She didn't know. She thinks it's the 20th Century Fox we're living in.
When you went to Hollywood, was it a disappointment for you, or was it as you expected it to be, all glamour and excitement?
Well, of course, all the great ones have gone, but no, I loved it. I went to the Chinese theatre, put my hands in those things, you know, where Nelson Eddy and Eleanor Powell...
He had small hands,
Judy
Nelson
Garland.
Eddy.
Who?
Nelson Eddy.
How do you know?
What? Well, he was known for his small hands.
Who told you that?
Jeanette MacDonald.
He was a very big man. He had very big hands, did Nelson Eddy.
Had he?
Yes.
It was Jeanette MacDonald had the small hands.
Who told you? I don't know where you got your information from. I'm riddled in Hollywood. What's he doing there? I mean, I'm riddled in Hollywood and all that. And Nelson Eddy never had small hands. I'm surprised that you say anything like that. I don't think he had small hands.
So that's what you did in Hollywood? Just put your hands in the cement?
No. I went everywhere. I loved it all. It was super. I mean, to be there, to me, of course it's all gone, but to be there and walk down the streets...
I suppose a man of your age, you see, that's what it would be.
You
remember all the old silent movies, the black and white movies and that
yes.
We don't, do we?
I don't... I remember I saw Trader Horn, the original, and Jekyll and Hyde. You see, I loved the movies, I loved the films, right when I was a child. And because the wonderful thing was, when I used to go to the cinema years ago and see people like Anna Neagle in Nell Gwyn and Peg of Old Drury, and Evelyn Leigh with Raymond Navarro in The Night is Young, things like that. Well, you see, I used to sit there and look at the screen, think, oh, I'm marvellous. I'm still stage-struck, I'm film-struck just the same.
But is that not just in retrospect as you look back on it? There must have been times during the hard graft when you thought, why am I doing this?
No.
I'm not getting anywhere.
No, I didn't, honestly. No, I didn't. I never envied the stars at the top, because if the stars went up there, I wouldn't have been working. I was only that big on the bill. But I never bothered about it, really. I used to think I'd be a star one day, but as I got older, I thought, well, it's too late for me now. I won't be now.
Why did it take you so long, do you think?
I don't know. I was...
I mean, you must have shown the talent. People must have seen that you had this talent. People must have said, you're going to be a star.
Well, only one person did, actually. I was at Chiswick Empire, and I was on the bill with Dorothy Squires, and she watched me one night. And when I finished my act, as I walked off, she said to me, you're a very funny man. Why aren't you a star? I said, well, I keep telling them, Miss Squires, but nobody listens. And she laughed. And when I did my first television show for Saturday Variety, she was topping the bill. And as I walked, she cried, and she put her arms around me. She said, I told you years ago you'd make it. I'm writing a book at the moment, you know, my life story. I'm doing it right now.
Are you going to cut out all the unsavoury bits?
No, you're in it. I'm a toucher as well, you know.
I asked Matthew Kelly this in a previous program.
Who's that?
One of the newer fellas.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. You wouldn't know him.
No, I don't.
And I was like, he tends to be a bit like that sometimes.
Oh, does he? What a shame. He'll grow out of it.
Let's hope so.
Yeah.
But I was asking him, and I wonder, can you answer, why do you think a British audience reacts so well to what's known as camp?
Yes.
To that kind of, the limp wrist.
Well, of course, the audience is a camp that come and see us. You see, it's very funny, like, there's that lovely story about two ladies sitting on a bench in a park, and one lady said, they say he's a camp comic. She said, well, yes, she said, I've seen him at Butlins twice. You can't define it. You see, years and years ago, there was marvellous reviews in London with Hermione Gingold and Baddeley and Henry Kendall, Douglas Byng, wonderful Douglas Byng, and it was all that, it was all West End, you see, all very camp and everything, and I took it out to the masses.
Yes.
You know, they used to laugh at me and they say, oh, you must go and see Larry Grayson at the theatre because, well, they used to say that. You said, go and see that chap at the theatre with the chair. He said, shut that door. And he talks about aches and pains and his legs swelling.
But how, you've played some very tough spots.
Very.
In that kind of, how does a sort of working, tough, say, a stevedore audience, or a Dockers audience, how does it react to that?
To me, Terry. You know, they say, like, all right, Larry, great, my mother loves you. All right. Yeah. They laugh, you see, like, they go, oh, Larry, what a gay day, and all that. And it's done like, it's done for fun. I don't offend anybody. I hope not, because I'm me, I say the things I feel, and because I'm a very loving person, as you know. I mean, because you see, it takes your breath away sometimes, but I mean, where was I? Oh, yes, I mean, it's me. It's in here. You have to have warmth and be sincere in what you're doing, you see. And I believe when I say I've got to lie down, I've gone all limp. I do go limp.
You feel like lying down?
Pardon? You what?
I said you feel like lying down.
Well, I do, yes, sometimes I do. As I say, I go like that. And you know, being 39. You want to borrow something?
What?
Why what?
What is life to hold for you now?
Well, I mean, I love the people, I love audiences. That's why I love doing the Generation Game, because I met people all the time, like you do. I mean, you love people.
I don't.
Don't you? Oh, it's true then. Anyway, I mean, all this. I like meeting people. I love travelling. I love seeing people. I've always done it. I think through
you're like Rebecca of Sunnybrook Farm, aren't you?
Oh, yes. I didn't know you'd remember her.
Green Gables?
Yes, and Shirley played the part. She was wonderful. Faye Bainter in White Banners.
You see, if I didn't know you better, I'd say that was all artificial, but it isn't, because that is the kind of person you are.
Yeah,
and I'm delighted you could come and join me.
Thank you, Jack.